What's up? It's Al Pal. I don't know how to sit. I really just wanted to enter like that so you could see my fresh hoodie. My boy Vegeta on there. Huge Dragon Ball fan if you don't know. But, yeah. So welcome. This is Al Pal's Year in Review. We're going to talk about a number of things. But, for now, let's just get started. So first things first. Well, I actually have a list here, and I should pull it up. First things first, though, is I want to talk about what's going on over at Twitch. And what's going on over at Twitch is that we hit some goals, and I want to set some new goals. So the idea here is, first of all, I just want to thank all of my friends and family, and everybody who's not in that group of people for supporting me, coming out, leaving a follow. And most importantly, I want to give a huge shout out to the Rays community, because ever since I became an ambassador there, I have gotten so much support from there, and it's really helped my channel grow. And you might be thinking like 20 followers isn't very much, but it's a lot to me, and it means a lot to me. So just thank you for that. But with that being said, yeah, sorry, I have to really pull these up. This is kind of impromptu, kind of sit around and talk about things, and we'll have a gameplay somewhere around here. And as I just watch myself do that instead of looking in the camera. The new goal is 50 followers. We're working towards affiliate. I'd really like to hit that, but, you know, we'll get there when we get there. I'm not quite sure if we'll do anything for that, but for the 20 follower thing, we are doing a luck playthrough on Dark Souls 3, so if you're interested in that, you can check it out on, not Wednesdays, Sundays. For Dank Souls and Donuts, I'll be playing Dark Souls 3 and doing that luck-based playthrough. But we've got a year in review to do here, and I kind of don't want to waste a lot of time on it. I kind of just want to talk about some things, break it into categories so that it's not really long, because, like, how do you really do a year in review? Oh my god, my hair is whack. Holy cow. Okay, whatever, it's fine. Because I really don't play a lot of different games, but I mean, like, I play enough to where I could kind of talk about these things. Regardless, we do have some categories here, and I'll kind of just break it down. We're going to do the most fun game, the most immersive game, the biggest disappointments, and just some other things that I enjoyed doing this year as part of this. So let's just jump right into the funnest game that I played this year. There's actually a couple. So the first one is Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's the one I want to talk about first while we're rocking the Vegeta. If you don't know, which you probably don't, because I don't do a lot of fighting game content on here, except for the Friday night fights. Me and my cousin grew up with fighting games. We played Mortal Kombat since we were little. We've played it ever since. We've even broken into other games like Tekken and Street Fighter, and then FighterZ came around, and I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, if you haven't noticed. And it's just, man, it's such a good game. In terms of like a fighting game and bringing like aspects from the like anime and stuff into it, it's super cool, super fun game, and it's a game that me and all my friends can play, you know, when we want, and it's just a good time. And we'll talk more about that later, but that's kind of just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of fun games, because there is one game that I have a ton of content on this channel about, and that is Doom Eternal. Where do I start? Much like my fighting game history, I guess you could say, I started playing Doom when I was young as well. Like, my dad had Doom 2 on the PlayStation. The PlayStation 1, by the way, should give you an idea of around the time of when I could play, when I was playing this. And maybe I didn't play it as much as I'm giving myself credit for here, but I did play it. It's been a part of like my video game life cycle for a long time. So when Doom Eternal finally came out, it was kind of like the game that like reinvigorated like the streaming and doing content and stuff, and it kind of spread out into a lot of different things. But the game is awesome in a lot of different ways. Like, I like being able to rip and tear demons apart. I like being able to, like, you know, like master like quick swapping and weapon swapping and stuff, and like doing things like that. The game is just fantastic, and for like the first like 3 playthroughs, I really had like minimal issues with how the game ran. Granted, I can't really say that now because my Taurus Nabad is still jacked on my Nightmare game, And apparently there's issues with Super Gore Nest, which I still haven't completed, so I don't even really know what kind of issues those are. I guess it's soft locking, which, I mean, I've been having that with base game now for a little bit on Tars Nabad. But aside from that stuff, the game has been fantastic. I even like the multiplayer. It's just been a really good time. So, there you have it. Those are my most fun games. So, let's talk about the most immersive, right? And for me, that was Monster Hunter World. Now, I was a little late to the party on that one. Um, it's a real bummer because if I had got that game when it first came out or before Iceborne was released, I would have put so much more time into it. But unfortunately, I got it just like once I got it right around the corner, they were releasing the final like big update for the game, which was like the Monster Hunter movie quests and stuff. So that was kind of a bummer. But other than that, the game was just fantastic. Like, it's so immersive in that like there's always something to do. There's no real like downtime in between quests, right? Like you go and hunt a monster, you come back, you need to go check the botanist, you need to go see if the Argosy's back, check on your Tail Raider safari, you know, maybe go see the smithy, maybe you got the stuff to build that really cool weapon. Like there's just so much things to do, and then on top of that, like each of the monsters is like their own little boss. And I like that. That's the funnest part of Dark Souls games, if you ask me, is the bosses. So getting to do that for every quest is exciting, and I really enjoyed that game. In fact, it's a game that I still play a lot of now, and nothing's really changed about that. I put a lot of time into it. I really enjoy it. So, I really kind of feel bad about doing like the fun stuff first, you know, because now we have to talk about the biggest disappointments, and there are two here, and one of them's obvious and kind of obligatory, so I'm not going to really take the time to dig into it too much, and that's Cyberpunk. So here's the thing. I got my PlayStation 4 late into its life cycle, right? So like I wasn't as hyped about Cyberpunk as probably the rest of the people on PS4 that had it since it was released and stuff, you know? But it still looked like an exciting game. And so when it came out and was basically more or less unfinished on the base gen stuff, that's kind of sucks. I mean, like, I still enjoy the game. I even have it on disc so that I always have that version 1.0. But other than it's like, how are you releasing a game for $60 and it not run smoothly on the consoles that you're releasing it for? And so that's just the main reason why it's a disappointment. Other than that, the game's fine. I still play it. I still have some fun with it. But that is, I mean, like, I just have to mention it. I can't see how we can go over the biggest disappointments of 2020 in video gaming and not mention Cyberpunk. But it's not as big of a disappointment as the Avengers game was. So let's talk about this. I ran this through my head like 1,000 times, and this is all, like, I don't really have a script for this. I just kind of wanted to do it and see how it works, I guess. I don't know. Avengers. Where do we start with that? Avengers is like a household name, right? So like when you're releasing a game like that, a lot of people are like, there are going to be high expectations for it. And with an Avengers game, not a movie where there's like rights issues and where you can use different things, you know, it's not really present there. There shouldn't be any issue with including more villains than what we got in this game. We got 3 like main villains. We got that other AIM chick, which I don't really know much about. I think MODOK was cool. It was cool to see Abomination, and I kind of frustrated that Taskmaster was a tutorial boss. Like that's just kind of rough in my opinion. They kind of really didn't hit the mark here. And you had so much opportunity to include so many more villains. Like, why couldn't we have like a league of, I don't know if this is correct, you know, but like a league of villains in which, you know, like maybe we have like Hydra and AIM working together, like we get Zemo and then like some other Avengers characters, you know. But aside from like my issue with like the lack of like mainstay villains in the game, it's just too repetitive, and that makes the game suck. And then on top of that, like I couldn't even do multiplayer. Nobody was on to play multiplayer, so that was just kind of a dud right out the gate. And then to top that all off, get this, the developers they want you to come back and play the game. So they release a DLC with 2 new characters, but they're both Hawkeye. You get Kate Bishop and Clint Barton. How are you making a superhero game where the first 2 new characters that you're introducing in DLC are both the same character? I would have been fine with one or the other. I have no problems with either of them, but I have problems with them both being in the game. Like, you could have brought in, like, maybe Spider-Man. I don't know if there's, like, issues with working Spider-Man into a game. But you definitely could have brought in some of the X-Men that were Avengers at one point or another, like Wolverine or something, just to have, like, a variety in power sets and stuff, and, like, different styles of game, like, different ways to play the game, I guess. But all that being said, the game is just too repetitive, and I think that the developers are really missing the mark on it, and so it's just a big disappointment. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I did a review on it. I wasn't too impressed with it in the review either. I mean, like, the really only good thing they had going for it were, like, how the game looked, not how the game played, and that's kind of an issue for me. Now, that being said, let's talk about the rest of the fun stuff we did this year, which I have to scratch my side. Yeah, let's keep that. There's a lot of things here, I guess. So let's start with just, like, kind of like my likes, like, kind of where I like to do content, right? Like, I like to do informational stuff. I watch a lot of Wrath FGC. He does a lot of, like, fundamental stuff for fighting games, and I watch him for, like, the fighter stuff. I really like that style of content, so I started doing something similar for Doom, because that was a game that I had played a lot of this year and felt like I had a pretty good grasp on the fundamentals, which is why I did the guide and the arena analyses, just to kind of tie the two together, just to kind of give players something to look at other than just how do you get through the level. It's more of like, how do you become a better player, though whether or not I'm qualified for that kind of stuff, that's not up to me, but it was something fun that I enjoyed doing. Now, this rocket launcher is the Cockblocker. It works both ways here. You see, most of the time it cucks me by not having a missile ready, but otherwise it's pretty good for people without armor. And then there was my, like, attempts at comedy, which brings us to Fear and Loathing in the Commonwealth. Again, like, I'm inspired by other content creators to do, like, things that are kind of similar, but I'm just not good enough with the video editing to make them work. So, like, if you get a chance, you should go check out King of Boston by Civi11. The guy's hilarious. He really nailed it, and that's kind of like the idea I had with the Fear and Loathing in Commonwealth. But the problem is, when I try to do funny stuff on purpose, like, I'm actually trying to do it, it just doesn't come off as funny. And so, like, the video is just really more of a cringe fest than anything. But I'm not going to take it down, because it's a part of history now, you know? It wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be, but maybe somebody will find it funny later on down the line.
Wait. You blocked it. You can block it. Wait.
Wait.
He just sees him standing in that blue beam.
But in terms of funny stuff, is my Friday night fights that I did with LDub and Ultron. We played fighters, we sat down, we were just like, I was like, I'm going to record this, you know, and we just like to give each other shit. We like to, you know, tell jokes, you know, just have a good time. And that was actually pretty funny and enjoyable. And that's a good example of why I shouldn't try to do it. I should just, like, kind of improvise stuff all the time. But either way, you know, that was just kind of like some of the fun stuff that happened for me this year. Minus, I guess, the disappointments. But I felt like they should be brought up because they were things that I experienced this year. So, yeah, I mean, I think that just about covers all the things I wanted to talk about in the video. That's my year, though. Next year we're going to aim higher, you know, like, I don't really know about sub count on YouTube, but, like, as far as Twitch is concerned, I'd like to see that grow and maybe hit affiliate next year. So, if you're interested in that, anytime, you can come check me out. I've got a schedule on Twitch. I still do content over here, but this isn't really my baby, but, you know, whatever. So, you check me out on Twitch. It's Alpal751. If you enjoy this stuff, you know, subscribe, like, and here's a question for you at the end. Who do you think is the strongest character in Dragon Ball? Or the best character, whichever one you want. Obviously mine's Vegeta. Goku's cool and all, but Vegeta's just such a better character in a lot of different ways. That's my opinion. Let me know if you disagree or agree down below, and we'll check you later. That is all I've got for this video. So stay safe, be healthy, and spread the love. Peace.